Well, due to the football club whose badge sits here next to my head in every episode, my voice isn't quite at its full peak today, so I'll apologise for that in advance. I am recording this the day after the day that was, but now we turn our attention back to Distillery, and it's a pretty big episode too. We need to get through this tie to guarantee European group stage football this season. We look better in the last game than we have ever before in Europe, but now we've got to do the job against Lech Poznan. This will not be easy. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 117, I think, of Lifting Spirits with me, Daniel. I'll have to apologise a lot today. I am not completely at my normal level because Luton Town are a Premier League team, if anyone didn't know. But today we are going to be back for Lech Poznan in the Europa League third qualifying round. And if we get through this, we know we're in the playoff round, which guarantees group stage football of some form. So a very big tie for us. It's important we back up what we did last year and the year before by making sure we have consistent group stage football, prize money and coefficient money coming into the club. For the first time this summer, as you saw last episode in a transfer special, that's in the eye above if you missed it. We have invested a lot in the playing staff, we have invested more on the wage front, and we are of course continuing to invest in facilities and infrastructure. So we've got to get group stage football to make it count. Our bank balance has halved since we were in the group stages last year, and if we have a season where we don't reach that, it becomes a very big issue for us because it will just go down into the negative finances, and that's where we start to see lots of players leave the club. So if you're looking forward to seeing if we can avoid that today, in a deluge of rain at Lech Poznan, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. I'm looking forward to seeing how we get on against a side that have remarkably actually appointed a manager. We've talked about that issue before, but we picked up a couple of injuries. It is the most expected injury in the world, isn't it? Jordan Gash has picked up a gash leg. I mean, you couldn't ask for more, could you? If you're looking forward to it, do chuck a thumbs up on the video. With that out the way, let's have a look very quickly at what's been happening over the last 2 weeks. And we'll start with the second leg of the Zorya game, which for the first time in I think about 3 or 4 years, we have convincingly won a home qualifier against a side that is semi-reputable and not from San Marino, for example. So a really good effort there. We put the tie to bed within half an hour. Cameron Goss scored another header. Damien Dunn scored a really good goal from the number 10 role. And Jordan Gash put in an absolute rocket before getting injured. And then we lost to Wrexham in a friendly, but we were playing all of the players that haven't been registered for this squad. So I'm looking forward to seeing if we can keep that up today and whether we can get ourselves in a good position. There were promising signs in the last episode in the way we played. And of course, although Crusaders, Ballina Millard are not going to be rollovers, it is a very friendly start to the season compared to previous years. Linfield coming up in September is going to be where it starts to get tricky because this season is the first one where we are almost favourites for the league. We have a quick look again because it is a continuing changing subject. We are, by the media, neck and neck with Linfield for the title. Larne's starting to drift a bit more now. And if we have a look at what's happening in the transfer window, we've got one more player out of the club. It has gone a little bit quiet on the signings front. So hopefully on deadline day, if Larne and Linfield do get group stage football, we'll see a few more come into the clubs. Let's have a look at the transfer centre though, just so you can see in full what has been happening. As I mentioned, it's a good summer for us because we've got most of our transfer work done early. There is one more I'd maybe like to do. I'm not sure I can do it until 2 or 3 more leave because otherwise we're carrying players we can't register for the squad. We're still waiting for the big one, which is Tom Robinson. That should bring in 300 or 400 grand for us, plus some sell-on fees. But Tamindo Puarte is the latest out the door. He's gone on loan to Cork City, who will pay his wages and give him the option to buy in the future. I'm a little bit regretful of it now because we've done playing well in the number 10 role. We might end up needing a right winger. But he's a very good player, played 170 league games for us, and he's continued to do well. So let's hope he does well at Cork City. We'll see what happens after that. Let's go and get through to the fixtures though. That's what really matters today. Distillery face Lech Poznan. A quick run through of what happened elsewhere as well. I don't actually know how Warren Point did in their second leg. Oh, they got through. They won on penalties away from home. Barry Bagley, our former player, scored a crucial goal in extra time. 2 of our former players scored penalties that won the shootout. Bagley again and Chris Johnston, the old left winger from the very early days. What a story that is. Kyle McClellan started, Jake Cooper started. It is basically our team of 5 years ago, the spine of their side. What a brilliant story. Warren Point helped the coefficient. I didn't expect that when they snuck in through the playoffs. Larne are now in action for the first time this week. They are facing Lechia, but again, they've got to try and get through because Larne have dropped off the last couple of years. We could really do with them getting involved. They've signed a couple of good players this summer as well. For Linfield, if we have a look at them, they got through against Racal despite a 1-0 defeat away from home in the second leg of their playoff. They got through on penalty kicks, and again, some of our Northern Ireland stars getting involved for them. Their winning penalty was scored by their new centre-half as well. They have lost 1-0 at home to Slovan Bratislava, but crucially, that win to get to the third qualifying round means they will be guaranteed group stage football again in some form of European competition, which for the coefficient, which we'll have a proper look at the end of this season, is a really good sign for Northern Ireland. So let's go and get through the tactical meeting into our first leg. Can we help the coefficient? Can we wrap up group stage football again? Well, there's only one way to go and find out. All change from the Wrexham friendly on Monday. Let's go and pick our 11. We'll be back in a minute to run through it. Well, with our first 11 virtually at full fitness now, we continue with a few little tactical tweaks and experiments just to see how things go. So I've moved Parry on the left wing to an advanced playmaker on attack. Just gives us that bit more guile going forward. But if not, we'll change it back. It's back to what we did in the first leg as well because Daly comes back in due to the injury to Jordan Gash. Although I have stuck with Max Whelan up front ahead of Simpson. It means our 11 in full is Neil Kane in goal. Ray and Reed are the fullbacks. We're sticking with him ahead of Murphy today. Mackenzie and Goss the centre-halves. Daly and Jude the midfield two, done ahead of them. Then Cowan and Parry off Whelan up front as we go positive away in Poland. I feel like we can dominate these games though, even though Poznan have got a few very good young Polish players. So let's go and get into it. The first leg away from home, and we've just got to make sure we're still in this tie because that is going to be crucial. Two young players come into the squad as well. The two stars of last year's youth intake. We're keeping an eye on the future here too. But let's go and see how we get on in Poland. Well, here we are then. It's a better subs bench, but not a full one for Lech Poznan, who have got a few good players in. They've also got Michael Black at centre-half, who seems to be a good player, but they've got a few youngsters that are really good. Their goalkeeper's their skipper. He's a Polish under-21 international at the moment. They've got a few others that aren't too far away. They've got a manager, as we mentioned. It is a league in the game, so let's see how we get on. We've got to assert ourselves nice and early because we're playing them 2 weeks in a row. The first league fixture cancelled, so we'll be behind already. Not sure why we couldn't have played in the middle. But here is the Europa music. Oh, I love it. It gets me really hyped up. But can we get through in the tie? A massive attendance here at Poznan. A massive opportunity for Lisburn Distillery. And don't forget, if we win this tie, it will be group stage football for the third year in a row. And that's a sign of real progress for this football club. As I mentioned earlier in the summer transfer special, we actually need it too because the squad we've built now, the wages that the backup players are on, the amount of players in the squad, we're going to have to try and keep them all happy. And playing 50-60 games is probably the only way we're going to do it. So let's go and get into the first half. It is Lisburn Distillery in Poland. It is heavy rain. We've not got a referee listed for some reason. But we have got an early corner with Gavin Reed. Mackenzie's up at the back post. It's headed away towards Parry. Back in the mix and for a third time to Jude. Edge of the box is a heavy touch. And now we're vulnerable to the counter. Really poor there. Sliding challenge is awful. I don't know who it was. Didn't get anywhere near it. It's Paul Ray. Now it's another one. Why are we flying in sliding challenges? That is not the way we normally work. Some desperation there. And much like Luton in the playoff final, we nearly conceded from our own corner. With 15 minutes gone, Poznan are slightly on top. Maybe we need to think about dropping to balanced here, which we usually do as standard away from home. I got a bit of confidence from the Zoria game. With respect to them, Lech Poznan are probably a more established European side, and they might be showing that already here. Zinke come from the left-hand side. Great turn and shot. Reed cannot get there in time, and Kane gets a hand to it, but not enough to keep it out. Sanoki is the scorer. They're 1-0 up. We're going to drop to balance for a few minutes here. We're going to encourage the lads and try and push on. And I just hope that we get a response. Not sure why we're seeing friendly results rather than Europa League. But this is not ideal. Now that newfound home form that we showed against Zoria is going to have to be evident. Because at the moment, it's been a bit of a nothing game. And at half-time, 1-0, maybe not a fair result. They've only scored a rocket. But there's not been an awful lot in it as Whelan goes back to Jude. Harry's not playing great on the left, so I might go back to winger in a minute. As Paul Ray comes down the left-hand side. Beats his man. He's got a chance to get to the byline. Wouldn't be a bad time to score at the start of the half. Crosses into Cowan. Hits the woodwork. Oh, it's a great run from Paul Ray. That is the benefit of an advanced playmaker. You've got the chance to push the fullback on. But at the moment, we're not doing enough. We're creating chances, but nothing hugely clear-cut. Why has it gone back to the friendly scores again? You watched me change it. Stop conning me, FM. An hour gone, I'm going to make some subs because at the moment, we're really struggling to get our impact in this game. We've had shots. We've not really looked like scoring. So I'm going to go for Damien Jude replaced by... Who is it going to be? I've got to take him off because he's on a booking and I don't want it to get out of hand. I think I'm going to go Morgan Griffiths and I'm going to drop Damien Dunn in because he can play in that deeper role and he's so good on the ball. I'm also going to take Parry off for Lafferty and go back to a traditional winger because, again, we want to get as many players forward who can score goals. And I'm going to leave it at that for 5 more minutes. But there is a sign that maybe the old problems are starting to re-emerge. Lots of chances, lots of creativity, no goals to show. There's Morgan Griffiths with a free kick to the back post, headed by Mackenzie over the bar. The barrage of set pieces is not leading to a goal. I think because it's probably our main route of attack at the minute, I'm going to take Whelan off for Morris Simpson, get a bigger man in there. Reed is going to come off for Tommy Murphy because I know that he's got quality. And we're going to encourage the lads again. We're going to play a bit more positively, but we're not creating good enough chances. And that is the long and short of it. At left back, we've gone Ray off for Stout with 5 minutes to go. But into extra time, and there is no sign of a goal. And in a game where we've been dominant, Poznan only really had 2 chances. We have lost 1-0. We've not been able to get the first goal. And that always becomes a problem for us. We just don't have the quality. And you look at the players off the bench there. Cowan's got a 7.3 starting. Lafferty's got a 7 off the bench, but he's not creating anything. So how as an attacking creative player are you getting a 7 if you're not contributing even a chance off the bench? A 1-0 defeat's going to make the second leg tricky. I guess the positive is we've been the better side. And if we can get that early goal at home, we've every chance of turning it around. And I know it's going to take a while to settle. We've got to look at this attacking team. We've got a brand new player in centre mid who wasn't fit today. We've got a brand new striker. We've got a brand new right winger. We've got a new player playing in number 10 because he was right wing before. And we're trying tactical tweaks. It's not going to be easy to integrate, but after that brilliant performance at Zoria, we didn't create as much today, but the performance is still encouraging. We just need the results and the ruthless edge to come with it. Hopefully in the second leg, it will. Back in a minute to find out. Well, it's been a bit of a bizarre week this because Jordan Gash is on his way back, might make the bench today, but probably not worth the risk. The big issue is we've now lost Max Whelan as well, so a star striker is going to be missing ahead of this one. And there's also been some strange things or some difficult things for us going on around the nation. Linfield, well, they played in their second qualifier. They lost against Slovan Bratislava, so they now play against Cluj to determine whether they'll be in the Europa League or Europa Conference group stages this year. Larn had a disappointing night in Poland just as we did. They lost by 1-0, but they're still well in the tie coming into the home leg. And then the surprise of the lot is Warren Point, because obviously they beat a top seed in the last qualifying round, which means they actually get an easier tie the next round, and they won the home leg 2-1. So they are very much in with a chance of making it to the 4th qualifying round and being one tie from the European group stages. What a story that would be. So lots to look at there. Linfield have made 2 loan offers for Premier League players as well. And if they get them, winning a league is going to become very difficult because they are better than anything we have got at our club. But let's go and get through to the fixtures. We've got a 1-0 deficit to try and overturn. It would guarantee group stage football if we could do it, but it's easier said than done. The great news is there's over 2,000 fans in tonight, but that will mainly be a big away following. Let's get Whelan out of the squad for Simpson or Lafferty. I'm going Lafferty up front. I'm also going to go for Parry as a traditional winger this time, back to what we know best. I'm not going to risk Jordan Gash, I don't think. No, I am. It's a big game for the club. If we're just on the cusp, we tend to go, and we'll throw him on. Let's go and submit the team. Not too many changes. We played well in the first leg. but can we do enough and put the ball in the back of the net? The hardest thing in football, and something we need to do twice. A very similar team as you would expect for the visitors. They played really well in the last leg. They were resilient defensively. They held us off pretty well. But they're going to be backs to the wall tonight, and we have got a great opportunity to guarantee group stage football again. We'll keep an eye on Warren Point, Larn, Linfield, all of that lot as well. But a 4-2-3-1 for us. What are they going out with? They have gone the same again. They're not going too defensive, which we often see from other sides. The great view of Windsor Park is there. The music's still going as we're into the first half. Would be a lovely background to our opening goal if it could come. Zanoki, the hero from the last match, plays out from the back. Black picks it up in a holding role. The music's still going as Parry nicks in, wins it high up the pitch. That was about the pressing mentality this year. We wanted to press higher up the pitch. We wanted to make sure opposition defences didn't have much time on the ball. What are you doing, Neil Kane? Get back in your goal. As Ray comes over halfway. He's played really well so far. Gives it to Jude. Chips it over the top towards Cowan, who flicks down, but Daly can't get there. And he's just not quite as good as the likes of Jordan Gash. So Ray wins it high again. We're getting the ball so much higher up the pitch as Parry thunders the woodwork from 25 yards. Yes, he's not working the ball into the box, but individual magic can win the day. And it almost did there as the corner comes in from Reed. Free kick, sorry. Goss hits the woodwork too. It's not going to be one of those nights, is it? 7 minutes gone. We've hit the bar twice already. I'm starting to feel like maybe it's not going to be our day. No shots on target with 15 gone. But my word, we've come pretty close, haven't we? I am a bit worried though at the half an hour mark that we've not managed a shot on target. And I'm not quite sure where this has come from. Maybe it's them being so defensive, I don't know. But with 5 minutes to the break, this is a really worrying sign. We have had no shot on target. Lech Poznan have managed to hold us off pretty comfortably in the end. And maybe it's a case of we've got to invite pressure on ourselves and just hit them on the counter. It seems to be what we're good at, but the confidence just isn't there. Maybe it's not having a star striker. Maybe it's not having that natural poacher again, but this is a big problem. It's a really abject performance so far. Lafferty is going to come off. He's had a stinker, or in fact, I might even put him wide. We'll go for Simpson through the middle for Parry. Lafferty off the wide area. I mentioned about going to 2 up front at times this year, but it requires everyone to be fit, which they're not. We've got Ray looking anxious at left back, so there's no point having him on here. At right back, we've got Reed on a yellow, so we'll go for Murphy, who was the hero in the last tie. And I look further forward. Maybe we go for Jude again, but he's not been booked yet. I think I'm going to throw the dice. I'm going to bring Jordan Gash on for Neil Daly and see if he can do half an hour. I'll have to save the last sub because if we do get back and go to extra time, he won't be able to do that as well. Let's encourage. Let's go attack him. We've got to throw the kitchen sink now. Something's got to give, and if we concede again, then so be it. I know Lech Poznan are a very good side. They're so well organised. They've got a couple of very good young defenders. They've got Poland's primary under-21 keeper, who's only not a senior keeper because they've got 3 very good ones. But this is a game we've got to really push through if we want to get to group stage football again. If we want to compete at the top table. As Gash tries to win it back on halfway. Doesn't quite make it, but Murphy does. This is the pressure we need to put on them. We're pouncing high, but we're not creating great chances. As Gash puts the ball forward, it's intercepted. He doesn't look fit. It's a gamble that probably hasn't paid off. Here they come on a counter. This is where they're so strong. We saw it in the first leg. But can we nick the ball off them again? No, we can't. They're getting behind us. They've played round us so easily. Why would you do it? Why would you dive in there? Oh, it's individual errors. How on earth have we let in 2 goals in this tie? It's going to be a playoff in the Europa Conference to make it through to group stage football. I'm going to take Jude off. I'm going to bring Morgan Griffiths on. I don't really know what to say. It's a really frustrating time. And I don't know what it is. Yes, this game we've been poor, but the first leg again dominated without creating anything great. And the tactical changes are going to take time, but how can you go from Zoria to this? Is it just because I turned the game off the old superstition? As Goss gets the ball at the back, he's been okay today, but 1 shot on target. We've created nothing. And Lech Poznan have shown their European experience. They've done us well and truly here. And Stow gives away a silly penalty. Let's find out who we're going to have in the Conference League playoff, because there is a chance we miss out on group stage football, and some of the gambles we've taken this summer could really cost us. We've got a good coefficient, so let's hope it's not too bad. We have got Újpest of Hungary. That league is not loaded. They're not the biggest club. They're definitely not a bigger club than Lech Poznan. They've got a lower reputation. They've not got any real players in the senior team. And they've not got any youngsters coming through either. But a 2.5 reputation club, Lech Poznan are 3.5. It's more our level, and I would expect to win it over 2 legs as we did against Zoria. But really worrying signs there. We've still not found that way in front of goal, and we're training our new tactical style as quickly as possible, but there are some issues with it. Let's have a quick look at what's happened to the other ties, because of course that's important for the nation. But we're now in a must-win situation, because if we don't reach the group stages, we're in big, big trouble. Let's have a look at how Warren Point got on. They were 2-1 up on aggregate. No, they lost 3-0, so they are out. The dream is over for them. Let's have a look at Larn. They were also in action there, weren't they? In the second leg, they overturned their deficit. So they are 1 win away against Jablonec from reaching the group stages. And if we can do it and Larn can do it, yes, I know we were in the Europa League last year, but group stage football is all that matters at the moment. And if we can get 3 teams there, with Linfield already guaranteed, that would be absolutely exceptional. So well done to Larn. Linfield are going massive on the signings front. We're going to see a few names on here when we return next week. And I think you know what we're coming back for. A full reserve team will play against Crusaders and Ballina Millard. And we will be back for the 2 legs of the Europa Conference qualifier. We won't show the game in the middle. We'll do that off camera. But we have got 2 games to seal European group stage football. And at this point, if we don't do it, it's a bit of a disaster. If you enjoyed this episode, frustration, 2 games without scoring a goal, 3 if you include the friendly against Wrexham, then please do put a thumbs up on it. Let me know down in the comments what you think, because there is definitely a lack of ruthless edge in front of goal. There isn't a reason this tactic shouldn't be working at the moment, other than it's not really settled in yet. Our team cohesion with a number of signings and a tactical style change is lower than it's been for probably 6 or 7 years. Maybe I have to put it down to that. I'm going to stick with it to October, November, try and judge it properly. With the signings Linfield are looking to make on loan, we could be in a bit of bother this year, particularly if we don't make group stage football. So hopefully you'll come and join me next time to find out if we do. If you want to stay up to date and see how the rest of the season goes and whether this tactic does settle in and become ruthless in front of goal, then subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back with a big summer transfer window in the head coach tomorrow. What will our director of football do in that one? And then maybe we need to add our 1 more bit of gold dust here, because there are a position or 2 where we're a little bit weaker, and I would like to address that issue before the transfer window closes. Fingers crossed we'll be able to get through next time. I hope to see you there to find out if we can. But thank you very much for watching. Your support as always is appreciated. And even though we lost both games in this episode, I'm still too excited about Luton getting promoted. I'll see you next time to find out if we can avoid a disaster.